Thank you. It is such an incredible honor to be given an award named after Gabby Giffords and to follow in the footsteps of women like Stacey Abrams and Ayanna Pressley. Ayanna, there is no question you have left me with some very high red hills to fill, and we look forward to seeing you in them again soon. Thank you to the entire Emily's List community for giving me this honor and for the chance to speak to you tonight. I can't thank you enough for all of your support. After Stacey and Ayanna, I'm the third person to stand here getting this award. But there have been other moments in my life when I've been honored to be the first to do something. In my family, I'm the first woman ever to graduate from law school. In Colorado, I'm the first Latina and the youngest woman ever to be elected majority leader of the Colorado House. And while it's nice to be the first, what matters most to me is making sure that I am not the last. Because of Emily's List, because of the work you do building up a pipeline of women all across the country, I know that while I may be the first, I will not be the last. Sometimes when I think about where I started, I'm amazed that this is where I ended up. See, my story starts with my mother and my father, struggling to make ends meet, struggling to make it from paycheck to paycheck. After I was born, my mom realized that if we were going to make it, she was going to need just a little bit of help. So she signed up for WIC, food stamps, to feed herself and me. That experience of needing help and finding it ultimately led my parents to spend their lives helping others. So when I was growing up, my dad was a labor leader, and mom was a state employee and an advocate for safe, affordable housing. Some of the very first memories I have are of sitting in meetings with my parents, surrounded by people who were organizing and marching and fighting for change. With workers coming together for better wages, health care their families could afford, and pensions that they could actually count on. I was in awe of those who had the courage to stand united for a better future. There were grocery store clerks and meatpacking workers, parents who struggled to make ends meet, but they never let their self-worth be defined by their net worth. Their courage and their passion has stuck with me ever since. Real change doesn't just start in boardrooms or committee markups. It starts in living rooms and community meetings, church basements and school gymnasiums. It starts when people find common purpose from common struggle. That's what gives real movements their power. Not abstract ideas, but the real-world experiences that people have to get through every day. If you understand that, then you know that struggle and needing a hand up aren't things to be ashamed of. Don't get me wrong, it isn't fun being on food stamps. But in my experience, struggle teaches you something you can't learn in any classroom. It's a kind of credential, more powerful than any graduate degree, because it puts you at eye level with real problems that have to be solved, not the silly ones that people are always talking about on the cable news. We have to listen to people who are struggling. We have to listen to people who work hard but still feel like the deck is stacked against them. Their voices must be heard. And that's why when I was 29 years old, I ran for office, to give them a voice and to make sure they could never be ignored. Getting elected to the Colorado House meant putting these life lessons to work in a whole new arena, and I've learned a lot. I've learned that even in a divided legislature, it is still possible to work across the aisle. It is still possible to find common sense things that most people can agree on. That's how in my first session as majority leader, I got an 8-bill bipartisan package passed to boost business and get Coloradans back to work. I've learned that even when you fail to get something through the first or second or sixth time you try, you have to keep trying, because eventually you might actually succeed. Like we did in Colorado the 7th time we tried to pass a bill to help undocumented students who graduate from Colorado high schools afford in-state tuition. I've learned that regardless of who is in power, we must always put people first. That's why I worked to pass a new renewable energy standard in Colorado, comprehensive sex education, and made major investments in affordable housing and access to early childhood education. Thank you. Those are accomplishments that make a real difference in the lives of people like the people that I grew up with. And I'm proud of that. But we know we have a lot more to do. I want all my constituents, no matter where they live or what they look like, to believe the sky's the limit and that every life deserves to have endless possibilities. But here's what I know. We won't ever get there if it's always the same people deciding where we are going to go. Diversity isn't just a nice word. It gets you better policy at the local and federal level. Because when you listen to more diverse voices, you learn more about the real barriers that get in people's way, and you discover new ways to break them down. There's a writer named Brene Brown who gave this whole TED Talk about the meaning of the word courage. And she says, if you look at the Latin root, core or heart, that what having courage meant originally was to tell the real story of who you are with your whole heart. That's how I come before you today, with my whole heart. And I'm asking you for your courage. The courage to stand up for anyone who's ever been knocked down or counted out. The courage to listen to voices that have too often gone unheard in the salons of power across this town. The courage to believe that anyone, no matter who they are or where they're from, deserves a shot at the American dream. And the courage to stick with it, even in your darkest hours, when you're lying in bed and you think, oh, Lord, Donald Trump really could be president. Now, that would be a nightmare, I'm just saying. But you know who is going to keep that from coming true? You. The people right here in this room and those across America who believe in the greatness of our country and the value of our people. Because you have always stood up for what you believe in. And I am honored to stand with you. Thank you, and good night.